everybody. Good day. I'm excited about today's topic because I think there is something to this that we don't always have the opportunity to explore. So I get to let you in a little bit on Anthony and how I flow. So let's get into this today. So first thing I want to talk about is there are moments in time when everything seems to be hitting us difficult and we get what I call as this kind of spun up feeling. Like that feeling of like anxiety and anxiousness and pressure, and there's a lot to get done, not enough time to get it done, and I feel like I'm all crazy. There is no calm. They say zero chill is what my son says. You got zero chill today, bro. I got chill, Dad. Today's the day I got some things done. So there's this idea of like zero chill, and I think that there are people that I sometimes hang out with that I'll say this, and it's funny. Me and Brendan actually we had mentioned at a conversation about this in Wyoming of all places years ago, and I was driving and I said something along the lines of, "It's hard to be around people who aren't settled inside." Repeat this. It is hard to be around human beings who are not settled because there's no peace. Like I can sit there and they're always chatting and they're talking and they're moving and there's a vibration I feel. I'm like, man, you're unsettling me. And the thing is, we typically don't even notice that it's happening. We just feel anxious around that person. We say, I don't like that person. No, you may not like that they're kind of unsettled. They might be a great human, but they're a little bit unsettled. And what happens is, here's a unique thing. They are unaware that they're unsettled inside too. They're just talking and chatting and doing and it's like, oh, weird energy, right? Sometimes I'll tell you, this is us. And I think when we don't realize that, we wonder, why is it hard to build the business, to make the sales, to fix the relationship, to be a present father, to be a good son or be a good brother or sister? It's difficult because it's like we are creating this vibration of energy around us that is not the most positive, simply because we aren't settled inside. We aren't calm. We don't do things with a calm, I call it calm power, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then what ends up happening is we can't be productive because we're never online, we're never on track. And if we fall off, we stay off, and it just kind of sucks, right? So how do we get to this point of having this space of being calm and striving and productive? And I'm gonna cover all those things today. So I want to take you back to the years whenever I was in a space of playing for the Washington Redskins, now the Washington football team. Back in the day when I was a young man with less gray hairs and my knees didn't pop when I stood up for some sitting too long, because those things, they pop, man. Those knees, they start hurting after a while. So what I found was I met this guy named Eddie. And Eddie did a lot of training. Like he was a guy who trained a lot of athletes. He had played linebacker for the Redskins before me. And we got to talking and conversating, and he really liked me. He goes, man, I really like you. I go, what is it that you like? Because I'd worked out. I'd only one time worked out with him. And he goes, there's a sense of like this power you carry about yourself. And he says, it's like a calm power. I was like, expand upon this, because I don't know what you're talking about, a calm power. He's like, there's a sense of like, you know who you are. You like what you do because it's apparent, and it's like you do it without needing people to give you praise or lift you up all the time. Like you do it, and it's powerful. He's like, it draws human beings in. I think about when you walk into a room and you see someone who carries themselves that calm power. We're drawn to them. There's a sense of like, I want to be in their conversation. I want to hover around their little corner. I want to be in their vicinity because what they give off, I like, right? And there's a sense of calm power. And I was like, well, have you noticed it anybody else? He's like, yeah, I've seen some people. I said, well, what do you think it is? What's the unique maybe parts of it? He says, well, when I see you show up in the actions you take, you don't take them in a sense of taking them and then turn around going, was it good enough? Was it good enough? Was it good enough? He's like, you take it, but you're powerful in knowing that you took it, and it's good because you did it, right? He says also, and this is mostly in the weight room and getting to know him a little bit later. He says also, whenever I see you show up, he said, you come in joy. It's hard to be in joy if you aren't calm and centered inside. Like it's hard to be in a space of, and if it's joy, it's like an anxious joy. Like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm excited. You know, it's like, it's not that like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm joyful. How you doing today? Like, you want to go get a meal? Want to get some, like, it's a different sense of joy. So my goal has always been like, how do I carry and hold the calm power? How do I continue to put that into the world? Like, how do and I show up like this. I find that there's a lot of people that come around me, and my purpose when I live my life is I want you to leave my vicinity better. If you ever see me on stage when I go speak, I want my time spent with you to land in your heart and for you to walk away better with the time we spent. If you come to my home, if you're with me, I want there to be a conversation, a flow where you feel like you left and like you're better. And the only way I can give you some is if I have something to give. And if I don't work on giving it to myself, I can't give it to you. And if you don't work on giving it to yourself, you can't give it to anybody else. So how do we create this calm? We're going to talk about this. And I think that there's some things we'll talk about that may maybe unsettle some people. I might poke some areas. I might tweak a little strings. I'm going to be honest. That's kind of the purpose of today, right? Is to get you guys to see something you haven't seen so you can work on something you haven't worked on. So as we move forward, here's the thing. I want us to talk about what I call is the multitasking monkey mind. That's why I think we don't get calm. It's the multitasking monkey mind of all the things I got to get done and they got to get done right now. And if I don't get it done right now, someone's gonna be mad. Oh, and it goes crazy. And we spin up and spin up. I met with this one guy and I had this moment where after football, I went, did my thing, came back home and I was building this business. And it was a gym business back in the day. And I wanted to build this business. I wanted to be amazing. And I was everything all in on this business. And I got to this point where I wouldn't say I'm proud of this, but I would be with my kids and I would want to be with my kids. Let me repeat this. I would want to be with my kids. And I'm not proud of this because I was with them. I'd play games, but my brain was somewhere else. My multitasking monkey mind was hopping from branch to branch on with the book and then the course and the program and then write this and read this. And you can do this. And you should go with this person and have this networking, go with this podcast, build the podcast. Maybe I should make this little image and take this picture. Oh, everywhere. And so when I'm with my kids, I'm not with my kids. And my college coach, I love this. It was big because we were student athletes, college athletes. We're thinking about stuff back in the day. I'm like, I want to get these new shoes and my girl and the game. And he's like, hey, be where you are when you are. And that was really hard for me. And I always have come back to that. But I was with my kids. I wasn't there with them. And I started realizing that I just had this anxiousness to get it all done. And I kept telling people, I just need one more month. I just need 2 more weeks. I just need 1 more year, right? Ever said it before? I'm going to get a hand up if you had it before to somebody else. I just need 1 more month, love. I need 1 more week, love. Give me 1 more year. I got this, right? And what happens is that month, that year, that week goes by and we're not aware of it, but we didn't get that thing done. But guess what? They are 100% aware. They'll let you know, like you said, a month. 2 months ago, why isn't it? What are you doing right now? And what I found was someone gave me this amazing advice. And what they said is, if I was to lock you in a room for 30 days, you would come out of that room. And then just first off, you wouldn't have to sleep. You don't got to eat. You can work 24/7, 30 days. He says you would come out of that room with more to do. Because that multitasking monkey mind, when it gets one thing done, what does it do? Finds a new branch. And more branches, more branches, more branches. So he's like, at the end of the day, you don't need to get to the point of doing all these things. He said you need to figure out what doesn't need to be done. What doesn't need to be done right now? Because you can't be calm inside and have that power if there's always something to do. Football was easy. I had to work out today, go to practice today, read my playbook. I'm good. When I got to this world, I'm like, I got all these things I could do. I want to do all of them right now. And it was all over the place. And the idea is I lost my calm power, because I didn't think about what doesn't need to get done right now. It needs to get off the plate, we'll call it. Have I ever given you guys the dogs in a pen about ideas, the dogs that are in a pen concept? Yay, nay? No? Oh, this is a good one. So I got 2 dogs. They're back there in the house barking right now. And I love dogs. And what I came to find is my ideas, I love my ideas like I love my dogs. They're so amazing and they're cool and they're great. Look at all these cool ideas, right? And they go into my head. And what happens is I realize that sometimes it's like all the ideas, if they're, these dogs, and they're in a pen, a small pen, when they're sleeping, they can fit. Because they're just cool ideas. They're sleeping, no big deal. The dogs are sleeping, no big deal. But what if one dog woke up? What if maybe 2 of 10 dogs woke up? Well, these 2 dogs got nowhere to run, nowhere to play. The other dogs are laying around. And next thing you know, all the dogs wake up. And then what you got? A bunch of crazy dogs jumping around like crazy monkey. All these crazy ideas. And what I found was we have way too many things that are in the back of our head that are all fighting for the space in that pen. And we never take this next step, which is really difficult, is imagine you have these 10 dogs. You love the dogs. Love the dogs. In order for some of these dogs to fit in this pen, some dogs need to be put to sleep. You feel that? Oof. Little head. Yeah, right? That's a thought I have, I'm telling you, it's the same with some of your ideas. Not that your dreams can't prosper and grow, but some ideas don't fit. When I was in college, I had this big idea. It's like, I want to do car stereos when I get out. Because I love car stereos back in the day, because I wanted to be that annoying kid with the bass that would rattle your windshield next door. And I did. I'm dead serious. Listen to this. When I had my graduation party, I was so good with money back then. I got $1,200 for graduation to go to college. I went to San Jose to the outdoor flea market and I spent $800 on car stereo equipment. My mom was pissed. She's like, I returned all of it. She was livid, but I wanted that, right? I had these ideas. Say that to say, when I was in college, had the same itch. And I was like, you know what? I want to go home. And when I get done with football, I'm going to open a business called Trucks' Trunks. Let that settle in a little bit. Trucks' Trunks. So you put the subwoofers in the back of the trunk and with the bass, right? So like, here is an idea that doesn't belong in my head, to be quite honest. It's a cool idea, but like, I'm not going to do it. That idea needed to be put to sleep. And so I say that to say some of the ideas you have, you are not calm right now inside because this idea keeps bumping up against the other dogs and it doesn't have room to run around. And it honestly shouldn't be in the pen in the first place. So the thought should be, how do I get this idea out of my head and press it off into the future? Here's what I know a lot of people struggle with. I owned a gym for a long time. Trained a lot of individuals, moms, dads, athletes. One of the biggest things people want to figure out how to do is, how do I get in better shape? How do I lose fat? How do I gain muscle? How do I? And today I'm going to give you guys some insights on how to do that from a physiological standpoint. So logic comes in. It's not this, well, my mom's sister's cousin took this pill that she found on the street one day. Like, we're not going to go off in some tangent, okay? And I'm not going to talk about nutrition because that's something you should consult your doctor about or find somebody who can help you there. Here's what I will say about nutrition. Stop eating trash. There you go. Hey, we got a solution, right? If you go into the grocery store, don't go searching in the areas that are the middle of aisles or the middle of the grocery store. Go to the outsides, the upper and the lower. Why? Because the companies that want you to eat the garbage food, they pay a lot of money to be in that middle aisle. So when you go into the store, if you're like Anthony, I don't know what to eat the things you're not currently eating if you're unhealthy. Ready? We solved that one? Good. Look at it. Moving on. So here's what we're going to talk about. There is this concept around like fat loss that most people don't grasp. And if you actually, what I'm going to teach you, if you understand this, you're going to understand why and see why certain programs and training methodologies have worked for people to get strong, to get to lose weight, all that stuff. So if you've had like these troublesome abilities to lose weight and all that kind of fun stuff, you will understand how the body works right now. So first things first, you have to find something you like to do. I'm going to preface this. When it comes to exercise, the biggest, I think, issue that people run into is they go and find, well, Susan across the street and Nick down the street, well, they got treadmills and he has a kettlebell. I'm going to go buy a kettlebell. I'm going to go buy a treadmill. You know what it becomes? The treadmill becomes a very expensive clothes hanger in your garage. And I guarantee somebody right now has one of these things sitting there. Why? Because you don't like running. So don't go run. And you could go run outside, by the way. So find something you love to do. This comes with trial and error, right? Find an actual exercise you enjoy doing so it's not a chore. It will be hard, but it doesn't need to be a chore. Now, as we progress, I'm going to talk to you about what's called the 3 areas or the trifecta of fat loss. And this actually it's scientifically proven. This isn't some bro science. I'm not making something up here. You'll understand how it works. So here is the first stage in how our body will actually help us burn calories. Have you guys ever heard of the concept of fast twitch, slow twitch muscle fiber? Anybody heard of this before? Beautiful. There's actually multiple different fiber types. I want to say around 5 or 6, but we just simplify and go fast twitch, slow twitch. The difference is fast twitch muscle fiber, it's going to draw a lot of energy. I can use it for a short amount of time, but I'm a fatigue quick. This is going to be like sprinting, lifting heavy weights, that kind of stuff. Slow twitch says, look, I don't have a lot of power and I don't take a lot of drain, like I don't pull a lot of calories, but I can go for a long time. This is jogging. This is going for walks. This is movement over any kind of distance that's not at max effort, around like 30 seconds plus. Now, we're not going into energy systems today. Whole different conversation. Just keep in mind fast twitch, slow twitch. So what the science shows is that I can go in and say I did a slow twitch muscle fiber workout that took me an hour to get done and I burned maybe 500 calories. What happens for us is 2 things here. One is I'm burning calories and it feels great. But then when I'm off the treadmill or I'm off walking, my body stops burning calories. It's a problem. It's good, but like I'm only sore for a little bit. I got a sweat on and I'm good and I stop burning calories, which is, it's not beneficial. There's ways you can fix this, right? But the idea is like, I did a whole workout. I want to have some added benefits. This is why what's called fast twitch muscle workouts come into play. And there's multiple kinds of ways to do it. This is anything that's full exertion for you. This could be a sprint. It's lifting weights. This is why CrossFitters do this stuff, high intensity. And here's why. In an hour's workout, if I did it in a slow twitch and I burned 500 calories, follow me with the math, people, I could actually work out 30 minutes, half the time, and burn those 500 calories with fast twitch. So what I'm saying is you can burn the same amount of calories in less time, sometimes more, in fact, in less time. This is why people who seem to be in crazy good shape, where are they always at? They're in the weight room. Do you know why gyms have cardio theaters with TV screens and cool little stuff? Because they know that if they get you to come hang out there, you're not going to get in shape. So guess where you have to keep going? To the gym. Consistently for years. It's a business. They want to make money. They make beautiful cardio theaters. They tuck the gym rats in the corner, but those people look like they're in the best shape because the workouts that they're doing. Now, you do not have to go do their workouts. Everything has a progression. Again, choose something that resonates with what you like to do. Hire somebody who knows more about it than you know about it, but find someone and find workouts that will allow you to burn more calories in less time. And then here's why the benefit is. When you get done doing a fast twitch exertion kind of workout, you in fact burn calories up to 42 hours past your workout. This is the second stage of the trifecta. Who's ever lifted weights or done some runs and got sore for 5 days and couldn't walk? Yeah. I got the hands up, right? That's because your body's still recovering. So what happens is my body is still moving. It's still recovering. I'm sleeping. It's still burning calories. So a treadmill, getting off a treadmill, I got to get sweat. I got hot. Good for cardio, helps the heart, but it's not going to help me burn fat, not going to help me tone muscle. Right? So the idea is if you really want to burn some fat, tone, build some muscle, the idea isn't to do a treadmill. It's to do something that's a little bit heavier weights than you're used to doing at your own relative level. And then the in-between portion, when the body is recovering, you're still burning calories. Now, here's the third piece that few people think about. And here's why individuals who start out with workout routines, they get to that point of I've been working out for a month and I got no results. Back to their burritos. We just it didn't work. I'm just going to go and, back and eat some, because we're it's not working. And here's why. What happens in the third stage of the trifecta is called a resting metabolic rate, RMR. Right now, every single person on here has a metabolic rate at rest, which means while you're sitting here, you're burning calories. You're burning calories while you sleep. You're burning calories in any way. Just sitting here, your body is churning. It's why your body gets hungry, right? If you just sat and did nothing, you'd at least get hungry. Body's still doing something, right? And here's the unique thing. The more lean muscle mass you have on your body, the higher your resting metabolic rate, the higher your body's rate of burning calories is at rest, which allows you to work out. So if I work out with heavy weights, I'm burning more calories in less time. I'm then having the in-between of recovery, still burning calories. And then once I've recovered, I have that nice, fresh, lean muscle, I'm burning more calories at rest doing nothing. So when I talk about the ramp up that first month, your body hasn't got all 3 tiers ticked in yet. Most people just stop too early. They say, this isn't working. I've done it for 30 days. It's not going on, right? And what happens is because you didn't let the body get past the sore point, get to the point of having lean muscle. So here's what happens. When I got more lean muscle, what can I do? Well, I'm a little bit stronger. I got less body weight. I can do a harder, heavier workout. Maybe I can do some pull-ups now. I can do heavier weights. So I degrade the muscle even more and I have to recover even more. And then I got more muscle and I'm stronger. So then I can actually lift heavier weights and I can do harder workout. See how it works? So the whole role for people that want to build muscle and burn fat, it's not only the nutrition. It's a huge piece because you have to have the right nutrition in order to actually get a good workout in. Actually, I took Brendan's Optimize today, right? You got to have good things in your body. On top of that, you've got to have the ability for yourself to recover in between with the right nutrients. And you have to have the right stuff in your body to actually maintain that lean muscle mass. So the whole trifecta works in this way. And so what you have to do is give your body time to catch up. And then all of a sudden, it'll start shedding fat and building muscle like crazy because it gets past those intro ramp up points. So for example, if anybody has been on my Instagram anytime in the last, 5 months or something, when I started the beginning of this year, I was a lot bit bigger than I should have been. I didn't have any speed. Brendan, I couldn't go on Brendan's stage, so I didn't have any reason to get in shape. So I was at home just eating up that healthy food. It was so good. Holidays, I didn't have to see anybody. Oh, you guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I just ate a bunch of food. And let's give you a little bit of a reference. When I was playing in the NFL, I weighed at most 240 pounds, and I had 12% body fat. When I weighed in on December 31st of 2020, I weighed 250 pounds and I was about 27% body fat, 25, 27. Yeah. Yes. I'm not there now. I lost it. All right. So I, at the beginning of the year, I was like, I got to do something about this. So I started this program and I wanted to lose a bunch of weight. I was like, I got to get the weight back down, but the muscle back up. I know that guy's in there, just like you. The body is in there for yourself. And I knew this in my head, how this worked. So the first few weeks, I'm building. I'm doing hard workouts, and I'm dying, by the way. Like, I'm not as young as I used to be. My body knows that. And the recovery, I had to eat the right food. Then I had to keep drinking water, and I would be sore. I wasn't going, right? In the first probably 30 days, I might have lost maybe 10 pounds, maybe 10 pounds. From the next 30 days to the next 45 days, that window, I lost 27 more pounds. It wasn't in the beginning. It doesn't happen at first. It doesn't happen immediately, right? And I say all this stuff so you get a grasp of like, it takes time. And what's unique about this is like the body will ramp up, and then here's what's crazy. It's actually harder for me right now to gain weight. I've tried to eat some stuff. I actually got down so low that I was like, I got to get back, but my body is churning so fast, the resting metabolic rate, it's hard to get back. Today, we're talking about friendships, and it was cool to be able to be around my friends, man. I have pockets of friends. You guys probably know what that means. Like, I have my professional business current friends, we'll call it. Then I have like the friends that I've known for 27 years. I have my friend that's my wife. I have all these different amazing friends, right? But there are ways these all navigate and merge together. And so today I want to talk about those, because here is my true belief. I believe that the best and worst part of this world are people, man. It may be debatable, but I feel like the things that I love, people I love the most, like as people, right? And the things that I dislike come from people, unfortunately, or things people do to us. But I don't know if we ever navigate this properly, or we have any idea of the best way to look at what goes on. Because here's what I do know. When I am operating consistently in interaction with my best friends, the people around me, life is enjoyable to levels I cannot explain. Like, it was really, the last few days was so amazing to get to sit in a room with people that just get you, and they talk to you in certain ways, and they tell you what you need to hear sometimes, not what you want to hear. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you get to expand and kind of create. And then also, if you want to go to a higher level in your life, you need people around you. You can't do it by yourself. Like, we all think we're self-made and solo. I don't know a single person that has done something without any other human being involved in some capacity. So I want to anchor that as we get into this today, is like friendships. The reason this whole topic is chosen today is I think it's incredibly paramount to us finding some levels of success in life. So let's rock and roll with this today. First thing, I think one of the most important things when it comes to friendships, there's actually studies based around this, is that it's connection and time while connected. There are actually studies that show that the longer you spend of time with somebody, the closer you get bonded to them. And I think that there's this perception of, if you're just around them, it's just, oh, all of a sudden, if I put a clock on at 60 hours, you're my best friend now. Like, that would be weird. Like, you can't put a clock on something like that. But do keep in mind, you need to be in proximity to certain people for a period of time. So if you're wondering, why don't I have great friendships? Well, ask yourself, are you investing in actually setting up time to hang out with people? People who are introverts, I found, like, they don't like to go out and be around a lot of people, and wonder, why don't I have friends? Well, because you want to only be around you. Like, if you want to have great friendships, go and be around people. And what this may look like is some discomfort of setting a lunch date or a dinner date. Maybe you don't go, in a whole group, it's just you and that person, or you go hang out and do something you guys are both interested in, right? Common interest is a big thing with friendships, but you actually have to get to the point of spending time with people. It's a big, big piece there. So if you have an area on the top of your paper right now, say, I got to spend more time with people I want to be friends with. And it might be awkward at first. Maybe it's the soccer mom that you guys bring your kids to and from all the time. You have great conversations while you're at practice or games, but outside of games, you never talk. Well, be the weird person that says, hey, Susan, do you want to go for a coffee in the morning? Sure, let's go. After we drop the kids off, right? Create the moments that create time to create good, deep, bonded friendships. And I promise, you'd be surprised, a lot of people probably need that just as much as you do. So it's not that weird. They're like, oh, I'm so thankful you took me out to tea, because I've really been wanting to have a crumpet with you. Tea and crumpets. I don't know anything about them, but I feel like I throw it in there. Anyways, I'm a tea guy. I don't drink coffee, by the way. Now, the next part of this is, when you're with these people, what do you do? Now, a lot of people think if you just hang out, they're going to be friends, everything's great. But I have found that there are individuals who I have been able to spend a little bit less time with, but been very, very deeply connected to them. I used to go to this event years ago, and it would like happen like later in the nighttime, where we would all like to have like kind of a cool little closed down party. And they'd have these very specific areas set aside on the beaches, or these cool areas where you could just talk. They facilitated discussion. Now, obviously, time's a big proponent, but what you do in that time matters. And here's what I was able to do. So I'll say, collapse the time to create great friends. There are people that I had known for 3 days that were closer to me than people I'd known for 3 years. And here's why. When I sat with these people, I opened my heart and shared things that literally I'd never shared with anybody before. And what happens in a special moment is it's catharsis. It comes out of me. Like I feel a levity, right? And when you have other human beings that accept and embrace that, don't make fun of you, don't shut things down, they go, oh, I see you. I feel you. And on top of that, they now feel permission to share with you. And you get to that vulnerable, open, really raw spot. That's where connection takes place. Now, when I say we get to do that, like I'm not just saying you kind of have to do it. You have to do it if you want to bond a relationship. Think about the closest relationship you have. Maybe you're intimate, your wife or your husband, whatever it may be, or your partner in some capacity. Why are they so close to you? They just know a lot about you. They almost know everything. They know when you fart in the bed and they're like, oh, it stinks. They know what, like if your sink's dirty because you don't take the thing and brush your teeth in the little area. They know if like you leave the toilet seat up. They know things about you, right? They're intimately close to you. And so what happens is you have a different space. And so what you have to start thinking about is the reality of when you're creating those deep bonded connections, you have to be able to open up a little bit more you typically would, because if you don't open up, people don't get to know the heart of who you are. And when they get to know the heart of who you are, you start finding there's more of a connection there than people you've known for a lot of years. So if you can find that space to create those areas by actually opening up and sharing more than most human beings would, you find that you get to learn more about their heart. They learn about you and you feel that acceptance. Because friendships have got to be based on an acceptance space. Like the friends that I have, we have real conversations. We open up and talk. I've got friends that I've known since I was in second grade, like a core group of my friends from Jason, Nick, Kevin, Jeff kind of floats around in the circle there, but like second, third grade, we've been friends and we know a lot. We've gone through all the journeys of the ups and the downs. I've supported them through different levels of relationships, different levels of friendships, parenting and kids. We've just been there. So if you think about the time you have to spend with somebody's got to be there, but what you do in that time, in fact, heavily matters. So you got to focus on choosing to spend time and allocating it, but opening up while in that moment with them. Because if you don't do that, you pull punches, you don't share certain things. Well, what ends up happening is you have this disconnected kind of relationship where you're there, but you can't open up. If you can't open up, you don't feel connected. And then the distance gets created. So when you're around someone, you're like, I should be close to this person. I should be around, but I feel bogged down. I feel like I can't really express myself because when I do, they don't accept this, or they don't, or there's an anger that comes back, or like there's an argument that takes place. It's like, no, if you can open up and flow, it gets to be much better. Now, the next piece of this is when you have the right friends in your life, the right friends will tell you, I alluded to it a moment ago, they'll tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. Because if you're honest with yourself, there are a lot of things that you might know are kind of like the depths of going on. But when somebody tells it to you, one of two things takes place. Either one, your ego rears up. You don't like to hear this. So what you do is you get into this argument to defend your ego, to defend your current identity, because you don't want anybody to see you sweat, right? And if you have friends that hear, like when they say something to you and you take it in an abrasive manner, well, what happens is they stop telling you things. They stop sharing things with you. They stop opening up, and now you feel that separation create a space, right? But the reality is you need to be in a place where you can actually hear the things that need to be told to you, not just what you want to hear at times. And it is hard. Some people, like they have this desire to do it, and when somebody tells it to them, like they'll embrace it, and some will take some time to embrace it, but they'll eventually go, you know what? I was wrong. You're right. I get this. And they'll bring it in. And then some people will never do it. Some people will just continue to keep beating their head against the wall, and people look at them and go, man, I keep saying this person just won't listen. And then after a while, you start feel that person stop telling you things, stop sharing certain things, stop opening up in certain ways. And it creates this space that doesn't need to be there, but it's there because you didn't want to hear what needed to be heard. And so you have to find people in your life that are not the ones that are like just only celebrating and rah, rah, sis, boom, bop. They're actually telling like, hey, I see this. So you might want to work on, and in that space, consider working on it and not have the ego rear up and go, well, the only reason I'm doing it is because you're telling me to. Well, maybe they're telling you and you should do it, even if they're telling you to do, if that makes sense. So think about this. And these are some, if you think about it, it's kind of some interesting things that I'm talking about friendship wise. Most people think like, oh, on a friendship conversation for Growth Day, we should be talking about all the chummy stuff. Well, this creates the chummy moments. This creates those non-elephant in the room moments when you're able to talk about these very specific things. And then here's the other piece that has to take place when it comes to a friendship. The friendships that I have, no one keeps score. The best friendships I have, no one's keeping score on who did what and how we did this and how it took place. It's never a scorekeeping situation. In fact, the reality is if I want to get something from this individual, from this human, I got to give. And you got to give without expecting a return. You got to do certain things that show up in a certain way where you're not expecting some return that has to be there. So what it ends up being is I'm giving openly, I'm sharing openly, I'm doing certain things this person needs, this person I care about, this person I love. I'm doing the things without keeping score, without telling them all the things I'm doing. I just do them. And what happens is you find that in that pattern, that process, people eventually get to the role of starting to give you back what you need. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hey. I got a little clapping. Hey. Who in here has ever had an issue with boundaries? Any of you ever do that? Yeah, me too. Here's how it happened. At one point in time, I would have these blocks and segments I had a brick and mortar gym, blocks and segments where I wanted people to come in and do their thing. But when I needed to work, I needed to work. And I was really good at getting the work done if nobody bothered me. And what would happen is people would come up, and in my 2-hour window, I do 2 hours of conversation that I shouldn't have been having. It sound familiar? And the next thing you know, the 2 hours is gone and nothing I wanted to get done got done. And I'm going to walk you through what I call bulletproof boundaries, because we got to have boundaries. And I don't think enough people think this way. So what I'm going to look at is what are the things that become issues in my life, and how can I get to the point of creating boundaries to keep the good things in and the bad things out? It's all about having focus and discipline, right? Well, I can't be focused and disciplined if I have no boundaries. Can't get anything done, right? So I'm focused on how do I look at this aspect of setting a boundary so I can stay disciplined. This is the discipline aspect, bulletproof boundaries. So here's what I do. This is what I call the foundation. The word discipline is interesting. It's actually has some ties to disciple and plan. So discipline essentially means, am I following, disciple, the plan? And most of us, we'll do a good job of making that plan, won't we? We'll get vision boards, get the plan. I got a plan over here. I got this whole structure right. And then I get down, I say, okay, from 9 to 10 a.m., I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this thing in preparation. And then all of a sudden what happens is I don't do it. And usually the reason I don't do it is because I didn't anchor down the foundation, I call it, of why it's got to get done. It's a nice to do, but we don't make it a need to do. And so what I do with people, and I tell you in the very beginning, is you got to get to a point where you sit down and say, look, why am I doing this? Why does it got to get done right now at this time? Because if not, then it's you know what? I can do that tomorrow. I saw this new show popped up on Netflix, and maybe I'll go watch that. And I heard about this cool documentary, or I start scrolling through social media, right? And so what happens is we didn't put a foundation as why in the world must this get done right now? Then what I do, I teach people you got to put in what I call parameters. Now, think of it like this. If I'm on a road and I'm driving somewhere, the parameters are the lines of the road. Now, a lot of people don't set the lines of the road. What can I go into and go out of? Now, if you think about it, it's not fun to work towards a goal and be so militant and rigid that you hate the process of actually going down the path towards the goal. You know what I mean? It's I want to achieve it, but I don't want to achieve it and have to not enjoy my life. I want to smell the roses. I want to go have a beer, hang out with the girls, go take a trip, catch a movie if I want to. It's just, I want to be able to enjoy it. So what I tell people is you actually have to set parameters that feel good to you. Not what somebody says, not what you read on the internet, not what your idol and hero person said. What feel like good parameters to you, right? So just so you know, my parameters for life are after about the time of 3:34, don't message me because I'm probably not going to message you back. I'm a family guy. I am in what I call season of dad right now. So I got a 16-year-old, I got 11-year-old twins, and I got a wife, and we have a family, and I love my family, and that's the core of my humanity. And so whenever I look at my parameters, I know what I'm doing and why. So, but at the same time, I may not work at the level of somebody who's you know what, I work, I get up at 6 and I'm working until 10, and then I'm going straight till 8 p.m. That's great. It's just not going to work for me. And I'm not going to feel bad, which you shouldn't feel bad simply because you're not doing what somebody else is doing. So you have to actually set your own parameters of what the parameters are that you will stay in, the lanes. I don't go here. I don't go here. I stay straight in this lane. Then we have number 3 is what I call awareness. Now, this is big. Awareness is essentially, as you're going through your life, are you presently aware in the moments of when situations are coming up? So you ever heard of the thing that hindsight's 2020, right? Oh man, I wish I would have thought about this back then, right? People don't presently become aware. So the parameters they set, they don't actually look at them. They're just, it's like driving down that road. I have my parameters. And what happens is I'm looking at my radio, or I'm texting. And what happens when we do this? We crash. So what I tell people is in the moments of when you're living your life and doing your stuff, the awareness piece is essentially you want to go back and have times or moments where you actually check. This is time audits throughout the day. This is like every once in a while, like set an alarm on your phone. I've done this where I'm like, I set an alarm so it goes off to remind me to check what I'm doing. And I kid you not, it'll catch me in the middle of scrolling through Facebook when I'm supposed to be writing emails. I'm like, okay. So I go and I got a little egg timer. I'm dead serious. I might have showed this in the past. I have like an egg timer that I use specifically for this. It just goes on my desk and I spin it and I put it down and I go, here, all right, this is my thing and my awareness. So what I'm doing is you should be trying to be presently aware of, are you within your parameters? Because when it comes to being disciplined, if you can't stay in that lane, which thing about discipline is staying consistent to the plan over time. If you aren't able to be presently aware, you don't get that thing done. And then you feel crappy because I didn't get that thing done. And then the progress isn't made. And I got to make excuses to other people or to myself. I fall out of integrity internally. I start thinking, man, I don't know if it's for me. I can't even get my stuff done. Right. It's a downward spiral. And all you get to do is not scroll on social media or not go out and hang out, like whatever it might be. Awareness is a big piece. So you have to be aware of what are the things going on. Then comes to a big one. And this is the one that I think we got to spend some time on right now. It's called triggers. Now, in life, there are certain things that are triggers that trigger the awareness. So it's not just a matter of hoping and setting an alarm for it all the time. You can actually have triggers in life that tell you like, hey, what's really going on? Like I got, some idea of like realistically, here's what's going on. And so what you should do in this moment, if you get time or like at some point after this, I want you to sit down and think about in my own life, what are the typical triggers that I experience that throw me off? So we have triggers, things that follow in. So for your own life, as people keep doing this, what you think about is, does your wife come in and bother you? Do your kids come in? Does your phone keep ringing, right? And what you do is you plan in moments where you have to be focused, how to adapt and honestly adjust to the triggers that are constantly popping up in your life. And it's going to be unique to you, obviously, completely unique, right? And so when I have this unique piece, I can actually weave in like, how am I going to do what I got to do in this moment to address the trigger? And the trigger is the thing we're going to talk about. It goes to the last piece, which is called willpower. Now, the willpower is a piece that I think a lot of people really fail in. And this is the one thing that you get this right, it's a game changer. So let's be honest. If you think about it, there's times you meet people or people in your life and, they say, hey, you want to go hang out somewhere. Or your husband's like, hey, do you want to go watch a movie? Somebody says, hey, do you want to go do this thing? And because it's a good lead into training people, because in the past, you've always been like, yeah, no, count me in. I'll go do that thing, right? What they do is they ask you and then you say, no, I can't. So what do they say? Oh, come on, right? And you go, no, I really can't. Nah, come on. Okay. And then you often go do it. You have now trained them that all they got to do is ask you about 2 times. And sure enough, you're off, right? So what I found is like, all right, well, how can I manage this and how can I do what's necessary? I must have in the moment willpower. Because what happens is if all of a sudden they ask me one time and I do it, they're going to ask me one time and I'm going to do it. If the next time they ask me and I do it twice, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, cool, they're going to do it. They're going to do the same thing twice. But listen, if I say no and they ask, you sure you want to go? I say no. Come on, you want to go? I say no. Come on, no. All right, here's want to go. They leave me alone. Took them 4 times. My willpower held up. Then for my willpower, I was able to press off and stay disciplined on what I had to get done, right? Then what happens is they come up again. Hey, you want to watch this TV show? No, I can't do it. You want to watch a TV show? No. Okay, whatever. Twice. Ooh, twice, right? Then what happens in the future, if they come ask, hey, do you want to go down and catch the show? I don't want to do it. Okay, off and going. It's easy. But the thing is, a lot of people, they break it far too fast because they don't have a foundation. There's no parameter of what they can and can't do. They're not able to be presently aware of what should take place. They don't have any triggers in place that they've planned for. Because, for example, if you have children, my trigger in my life is like, if they ask a question, I legitimately, the first thing I say is no. Like, hey, Dad, can I? No. Okay, what do you want? So I've already been in the realm of no. If I want to say yes, I can change it. I quite literally am like, no. That's my trigger for their asking of questions. Now, obviously, I will say yes. I'm like, what do you want? They just know, but like I'm already in a space of no. So if it's a no, I'm like, I already said no. And they're like, all right. They move on. They get it, right? But I have a trigger. I have a response, and I know it in advance before I get to it. So for you, your trigger may not be people. It might be the notification on your computer when it pops up. Could be an email that comes in. What is my triggered response to stay disciplined in this bucket of time I have to get something done? And then do I have the willpower to hold the way I got to hold? I'm telling you, the difference between those who are good and great is not the information. It's who's able to do what they have to do with that information. I love the concept of leadership, and I'm going to unpack for you, like I always do, my weird random thoughts that have a direction that hopefully you can grab a nugget from and do something cool with. And so leadership, I'm going to change it because my word's shift. So I said, I'm going to call it leadership. You get it? Leadership. That's my jokey sound right there. That's my jokey sound. So I'm going to talk about leadership because my big thing is shifting. And I want to think about shifting perspectives, right? Shifting the way we see things, hear things, experience things, because I think that's how life changes. I think we have those moments in time where we are in some way, in some moment, presently aware of how we're doing things or how we are acting or how we're operating. And when met with that moment, we go, ooh, it's time to change something. It's time for something to shift and something to adjust. So now I'm going to tell you briefly my story if you have never heard it before. I got to a point in my life where I'd gone through a whole lot. I went through foster care as a kid. I had this weird diversity issue of growing up in an all-white family, not really feeling anchored anywhere. And at that time, I felt like a leaf in the wind. I didn't do a great job of leading myself, to be quite honest. And so I kind of was just ending up in the direction of leading towards being a statistic of foster care, which is not very good statistics. They're kind of difficult. They're not that great. Anyway, so there's that part of my life. And then I go from that point where I'm stepping into the stage of, all right, well, now I'm this foster kid who's now adopted, and I got to go into this realm of being the adopted kid. How do I show up here? And I kind of was just still a leaf in the wind, trying to figure things out. And I had a moment where I decided to take some kind of control of myself, and it helped me get better at the game of football. But I really only applied it to football because, well, I was 15 years old. What were you doing at 15 years old? You weren't trying to change your life. Neither was I. I want to get better at football. So I applied it there. Progressed to the next stage of my life. I went to college football, had a great opportunity to play at a high level. And then I had a kid. And then it gets different. Because if any of you guys are parents out there, when you have a kid, it's a different dynamic of like, oh, there's somebody else in my world that, like, if I don't take care of them, they die. Like I kind of got to lead them in a direction because you got to eat. They got to not fall off things. Anyways, it's kids. I'm a parent now, right? And then I go to the next stage of like, I'm trying to lead at one point, not just my kid, but I was the senior on the football team. I had 19 linebackers. I don't know how it worked out, but most years there's always multiple seniors. My senior year in college, there were 20 linebackers. It was just me leading all these punk little kids, man. The little kids back. We were all little kids, but they didn't listen. They didn't show up on time. And the coach left it on me because what you do as a senior linebacker, you make sure your unit is strong. Same for the family, same for everything. Same for the business you have, doesn't matter what it is. And I'm just, listen, I'm going to guide you through these things so you get it. And I'll come back to them as we kind of unpack today. Then from there, I progress on to leaving college and I go to the NFL. And the NFL is an interesting monster because quite literally how you lead yourself is what matters. If you show up in the NFL and think it's college, you'll fall apart because college is a place they kind of can't get rid of you. They gave you a scholarship as long as you don't, fail out of school. Like they got to keep paying for your school. You're there. NFL, they can literally sign you right now, have a contract that says you get $150 million a game and they can take it from you, have you sign it, bring it back here. They could tear it up in front of you and there's nothing that they can do about it. Like I can't do any unless there's guaranteed money, right? So the thing is, you have to lead yourself in a vastly different manner every single day, day in, day out, at disgustingly consistent levels to simply be able to keep your job, right? The way you lead yourself matters there. And then how you lead yourself with this unit and become part of this team, it matters. Again, progress past the NFL because it stands for not for long. You get in, you get hurt, you go home. And I went home. And so when I came home, I fell out of all sorts. I lost a very anchored part of my identity. Anytime you've been doing something for a long period of time, and you can attest to this. Think about that thing you did for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, no matter how many years you did it. And whether by choice or by chance, someday you woke up and you were not doing that thing anymore. This could have been the kids went to college, so you're an empty nester. It could have been you changed jobs, so you left this old area, went to a new area, and you don't really have a sense of confidence there. Maybe you decided to open a business, you went in a new direction somewhere. Maybe it was, something where it was by chance. You got hurt, left the military. Like I got hurt in college, NFL, and left the game of football, right? Chance or by choice, you're not doing it. You are met with the reality that you don't feel as confident as you did. because now I don't have this thing to lean on. And so we're thrust back into this new world of like, how do I show up in a certain way? How do I get this next level of my life met? And this is, again, leadership type stuff, leader shifts. I got to a point where, to be quite honest, my life kind of came tumbling down. Everything that was Anthony came falling apart. And for a lot of years ended up in a fog. And I was no way leading my life properly. And then I got to January 1st, 2016. And in those moments, man, I woke up. It was New Year's Day. And I was laying next to, we're going to be honest in here. I don't always do these and share with you guys, but I'm going to be transparently honest. I might have told you, I might not have. I have no idea. But I got to this point where I woke up and I was laying next to a strange woman. I was divorced. Not she was strange. Like, wasn't like one that like I really was like in deep conversation, relationship with, just a woman that was there. I went in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror, and we had like, it's New Year's Eve. So you drink a little bit, you smoke some hookah and stuff. And I remember just waking up and having this incredibly deep level of shame. Like this man looking back at me, I did not have respect for, I didn't like, I would never, and I'd say this all the time, it was someone that I would not want my daughter to be with, anybody like me. I would not want my boys to be like me. My mom would never approve, and my God would never let me into heaven. I'd fallen so far from my faith in the middle of that. I was completely away from the place of leading myself and having the ability to lead other people. I was off in a wash. Now, I understand you are probably not in this place. To be quite honest, you're probably not. But I'll say this, sometimes we don't realize that we're in the middle of a tornado because you're in the eye of the tornado. You're around messing things up. You're blasting through things all day long, but the eye of the tornado feels calm. It's calm, I'm cool, collected, but you don't realize the damage you're doing to people outside because you just don't pay attention to it. It's a statement that I love. I recently heard, and it goes, it is hard to see the label when you are inside the jar. Sometimes we're unaware. So it's the truth. We got these things going on. So ideas like, okay, how do I get to the point of seeing this label and making adjustments? Well, I finally saw my label. I didn't like the label, and I had to lean into a space of saying, man, I want to fix my life. I'd made 2 promises to my mom that 1, I would fix my life. 2, I would help other people do the same at some point in time. Now, the first one, it's not so fun at all. The first one was I had to confess. Confess is the acceptance point. It's essentially saying, look, I am not perfect. How many people do you know that have said like, I'm not perfect, but the moment that you point something out that's not perfect, they shut down. The moment you do, like, I'm not perfect. Okay, then, hey, Shirley, then why is it you can't figure out how to get the right shoes? Shut up. My shoes are great. Like, I'm just making something up right now. But you know what I'm talking about? It's funny when people will say that, but they don't actually confess that they've got to deal with this problem at hand. We have in place this thing called an ego. And it's an amazing thing. It can benefit us amazingly. Like, my ego protected the identity of a football player by eating right, training, lifting weights, going to practice on time, learning the playbook. That part was positive. However, it can also be EGO, everyone's greatest obstacle. It can show up in ways that force us to like protect the current identity, which is unable to lead us properly. Does this make sense? Because if I don't confess I got something to work on, I will never give myself permission to improve. It's a big one. And I'm telling you right now, I guarantee I have things to work on. I have a wife. She lets me know. And there's things we all got to work on. Am I perfect? Far from it. Have I done a lot of work? Yes. Will I continue to? Forever. I was actually at a Burchard event, and I heard Harvey McKay say this, and I love the statement. And what he said was, at the end of the day, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. That has stuck with me beyond all things. I'm like, the moment that I believe I don't need more improvements, the moment I'm going downhill. And I can't be a place of leadership in the position I am if I haven't continuously led myself. So the first thing is to confess there's almost consistently something to work on. And it's a beautiful thing, to be honest. Like, humans, we are actually, I believe, the happiest while in motion. Like, there's something to being in motion, in creation. Think about whenever you have the most like peaceful, separate from anxiety moments. It's when you're building, creating, working with your hands, out with the kids, like, driving a car. Maybe you're making something, singing, whatever it is. When you're in motion, there's magic there. There's a creation piece, and you can't get to that level of creation or motion until you've given yourself permission to be like, you know what? This is something that's got to be improved. And it's okay. So I'm giving you the ability to give yourself grace and say, look, I got to work on something. If I don't look in that mirror and go, dude, you suck, man. Like, you got to work on these things. I don't get better. Because I think for me, one of the biggest realities that was really hard to accept. And hopefully you do this. If you haven't, you get a chance today to realize that you are the common denominator in all of your problems. The situation of confidence is an up and down, it's a bubble. It's an up and down bubble. Sometimes it bursts, sometimes it's big, sometimes it's small. But the truth of the matter is it's a matter of how you choose to see it in the moments. And if you are more cognitively aware of how your brain processes, I promise you can get better control of it. And you can understand how to control it in a way that allows you to actually utilize it. This is what's called the self-mastery sequence. And this is a sequence of how our brain, like, honestly processes all throughout the day. What I want to do is teach you how, if you see the flow of this, you can actually control it in a way that allows you to have a better base and gauge on moments that are difficult and how you can do the hard things when you need to then spin things up the right way. So at the very top of this is going to be what I call identity anchors. So what this is, I'm a guy that operates in identity. I want to get to the point where the things that are difficult, I do like their second nature. I call it rhythm. Like, it's more of like, think about the daily operational rhythm. And I don't mean your routines. I mean the rhythm of how you flow. Now, we have a certain level of confidence, but there are certain moments that press and test this confidence. So it becomes difficult for us to press to the next tier, right? So at the very top, what ends up happening is you currently have an identity. If I asked you, hey, who are you? You tell me something. And you go to a part of your brain that says, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm a parent, I'm a brother, sister, cousin, I'm a manager, I'm a CEO, whatever it is. There's a part of you that says, this is who I am, right? It's built around confidence, usually from your past success. Now, there's also things you don't have confidence in. Part of those anchors may be like, hey, I'm not the greatest reader. I'm not the greatest writer. I'm not the greatest X, Y, or Z. And you've also created an identity around that. You've actually spoken things into existence in ways that probably shouldn't be, because the reality is when you speak something into existence, you will live in a way to make that right. Right. So your identity is what you have in place. Now, this leads to the next piece, which goes to the right. And this is what we call our beliefs. Now, based on your identity, you have certain beliefs that are in line with this, and you operate from them daily without even realizing it. These beliefs were put in place a long time ago. There's a lot of different studies on this, but Erik Erikson has a study and a kind of a structure of the psychosocial aspects. And what he looks at is there's an area between like the age of like 18 to 21 where we have this issue between our role and our identity. It's actually called identity versus role confusion. And what ends up happening is you know who you are, but now your role in society becomes a little bit, kind of distant because you're entering it now as an adult, right? I'm a kid, hang my parents, and all of a sudden I know who I am. Then I'm thrust into this world where like I now have to operate as an autonomous human by myself, and I don't know who I am or where I fit and how this works. And what's crazy is we've already entered that world with certain beliefs based on who we are. Right. So this belief system, if I don't have a belief that I'm capable, that I'm strong, if I kick my kids out of the house at 18 and I haven't helped them have an identity of strong, confident, powerful, whatever it is, they'll go into that world with an identity that's weak and they'll be confused as they look at the world. And the problem is if nobody goes at any point in time and adjusts this or grows, growth day, right? I end up living this cycle the rest of my life. So you got to take a look at what are the beliefs that I have, the belief systems I have in place. And you have to actually take a look at what are they? What do you believe is possible for yourself or impossible for yourself? Now, beliefs go to another piece, which is very interesting. And we have these all the time. These are called our thoughts. And these bad boys run. They're always running. Mine are running right now because I can't see your faces. My thought is like, do they like this? Is this any good? I don't know. I'm talking really loud to my microphone. I hope they like it, right? There's a thought going all the time, right? And you guys have also the same kind of thoughts. There's conscious and subconscious thoughts, and these root from the beliefs. If we have a belief system that's out of whack and not controlled, we'll have thoughts that put us into depression, that put us in anxiety, they just take off and we can't control them. And you just because it's rooted in some belief system that I believe is who I am and I can't adjust it, right? So beliefs go to thoughts. Now thoughts, they create something unique that I wish we could control, but we can't always control it. And this is the area of emotions. Now, emotions are very interesting because they happen. Like we have them. My wife has them and I can't control them. If anybody's married, it's hard to control the emotion of other human that's in your house. And I just have to control my emotions when she has her emotions in place doing her thing. And you get that if you're in a relationship or ever have been and you're human, you probably have, but you know what I mean, right? And what happens is unique in the area of when I have these thoughts, they feed and fuel my emotions. For example, if I'm in a situation where somebody cuts me off in a car, right, and I'm just driving, my thought is they don't like me. What bad people, my emotions get enraged and I freak out. These people, how can they cut me off, right? But what if I have a thought in my head that says they might be in a rush to get to somebody who needs help? different kind of emotion that would come from that thought, right? It's a complete different thing. And so what happens is if we have control of our thoughts a little bit more, we can actually have control of our emotions. And what happens from the emotions, these emotions lead to our actions. And the actions are interesting. So what happens here is I have found that whenever we have these moments in our life, typically our emotions fuel the actions, and actions are driven by the emotional aspect of how we feel in the moment. If I feel amazing, I'll take a bold, powerful, amazing action. If I don't, if I believe I'm not smart and I tell myself I'm not smart, my emotions are like, oh, a little detrimental, like I feel bad. And then I take kind of a halfway action. This happens for us in life consistently. The emotions fuel the actions, and we all live in actions. Like no matter what it is, you have taken the action to be here right now, to hang out with me and Brendan and the rest of the crew. This is an action for improvement, right? You had an identity that said, look, I know who I am, but I want to be better. I believe I can be better. My thoughts are like, I'm going to go and take an advantage of this opportunity to actually be part of Growth Day. My emotions are like, yeah, I can't wait to get there. The action I took after that was like, let's do it. And I'm here, right? Your outcomes are the results of the actions you took based on the emotions, from the thoughts, from the beliefs, from the identity, right? And the outcomes could be good, could be bad, no matter what they are the result of the action you took. So if you take a great, amazing, bold action, great, amazing outcome, right? If you take a crappy, halfway action, usually crappy, halfway outcome. So if you're like, I tried to do it, Anthony, I really tried really hard to eat healthy. Well, did you really, right? Because at the end of the day, if you took the action properly, bold, strong, with discipline dialed in, the outcome is you're in better shape. If you kind of little bit do it, I cheat and I binge eat at 12 o'clock at night, well, the outcome's not going to be what you want it to be. If you kind of read the book, but you don't, really take the action of reading deeply and really understanding it, the outcome is, I don't know the information, right? Maybe you kind of decide to launch your podcast, a little bit of action, or you really do launch that, right? There's a lot of different areas where people don't realize an action has levels. You can boldly go and do that thing at beyond the space of what feels comfortable and have an amazing outcome, or have a halfway outcome. Now, the outcomes lead to something special and unique, which really is unique. It's going to be your environment. This is going to be internal and external. Now, the reason we have both of these because they give us feedback that lead over to our identity. And here's why. Whenever I look at the aspect of like my internal environment, if I have an amazing, powerful action I take, and then the outcome is amazing and powerful, my internal environment is like, oh, man, I feel great. Look at me. I'm cool. I'm doing great, right? If I take an action that's halfway and the outcome's halfway, well, then my internal environment's like, oh, man, that feels bad. Right. And on top of that, I create an external environment, right? If I'm joyous and happy and in a great mood, my external environment is I got great friends, part of a great community like Growth Day. I get to go do cool, amazing things, right? And at the same capacity, maybe I make more money. Maybe I have more time, and maybe I have a better house and I take more trips, right? My external environment is better because of the action I took that had a better outcome, that it gives me a different environment of how I feel inside and what I see outside. And what you have environmentally, it creates your anchors. Today, we're going to talk about the way that I look at mindset and resilience. So here's the big thing. Our mindset is included within who we are and our identity. Now, I'm going to extract for you guys something that I talk and walk through called the Slower Go Identity Grid. And the Slower Go Grid's going to let you see in a simple way, like where you stand right now. Some of you might have heard it before. Maybe you've taken the quiz. Maybe you've not. And hopefully you haven't all heard of it, because that'd be kind of like, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. But I promise, even if you have, I'll give you a little bit more depth to it. So here's what I want you to grasp. We all have the clear understanding of what a mindset is. However, sometimes we may not understand the inner workings of it or who we are with it. And so we're going to break this down today. I'm going to show you how you are essentially one of 4 different kinds of identities harboring certain mindsets. Now, as I tell you this, I want you to grasp, it doesn't really mean that if you see one that's like not perfect, you say like, oh, it sounds like me. It's not the end of the world. That's the beautiful part about who we are. We can always adjust and grow and change, right? We have neuroplasticity in our brains. We can learn new things. Yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks, no matter what they say. There's a Netflix show I saw about it, just so you know, like really, you can actually teach an old dog new tricks. But we're going to actually teach you guys some cool things. So let's get into this without me talking about it all day. We're going to go over this. Now, in our lives, we always have these different aspects of opportunity and opposition. And to be quite honest, they have this intersection point. They always meet each other if you think about it. There's always this opportunity of something. There's always like but it ain't perfect, right? And I find that as we go through things, we're always trying to figure out like, okay, where do we stand? What do we do? And how do we make the next moments of our lives better? However, How we show up in those moments, those defining moments, those will determine how the next moments are better or not. And so now I'm going to talk you through 4 different types of mental framings and identities that have mindsets to them, right? Of how I think. And I want you to figure out which one you are. So the first one we're going to talk about is a dreamer. Now, think about opportunity and opposition. Now, if I'm a person that when opportunity comes to pass and I sit there and I look at it and I go, oh, it'd be amazing to chase the opportunity, but I go, oh, I don't know if I should, and maybe I can, and I stew on it for too long. What happens, opportunity? It leaves. When I was in college, my college coach, he says, hey, if our opportunity comes knocking at your door, you better open the door, pull him inside, sit him down, get him dinner, make him stay a while. Because if he leaves, we don't know when he's coming back around again. And so the idea is like when opportunity comes, how do you handle it? And some people, we get so apprehensive, we get so processing, we get to the point of just paralyzation by overanalyzation that we don't take opportunity and actually capitalize on it. And at the same time, these same people, they're not really good in opposition. Like when something pops up and rears its head, we question ourselves. My mindset goes, I don't know if I can, if I'm capable, if I'm smart enough. And so what ends up happening is I go, oh, I don't know. And then I end up moving myself back. I find ways to reverse my path. I will make excuses. I will procrastinate. I'll call myself a perfectionist. I'll say, I'm a perfectionist. No, you're just scared of putting it out there. Let's be honest, right? There's this aspect of like the opposition. It makes me feel scared. So what do? I'm always telling people about my dreams. I'm dreaming about this. I'm going to do this. I can do this. I can create this. And an opportunity comes, they go, why didn't you take advantage of it? Oh, well, this happened and I didn't have enough time and I was too busy, or, I didn't know much about it, or you make excuses. And no matter what the excuse, good or bad, it still is an excuse that's stopping you from getting what you want. So that's the first one, a dreamer, someone who doesn't go into the space of taking on opportunity because they're fearful, and those who are not good at tackling opposition. Now, the next person is called a dabbler. A dabbler is someone that says, look, when an opportunity comes up, I'm taking it. Yeah, put me in, coach, buy all the Dogecoin and the different Bitcoin thing. I'm buying all of it. Let me go do it, right? And then maybe it's not that, but maybe it's opportunities that come rise and they go after them full speed. They invest in these things. They buy these things. They go and start these processes. They do stuff, but here's what happens. The moment opposition comes, they shut down. It's too hard. I don't know how to do this. I'm a little bit fearful. I'm scared. And what I do is I pull myself away. I may have started down that path. The moment it got hard, I stopped my progress and I stayed stagnant or went backwards. This happens for a lot of people. They try I want to do live streams and I want to do webinars and I want to write this book. And then I go, it's opportunity to do something. And all of a sudden it gets hard. And I go, oh, I don't want to do this. I pull away. And these are what we call the dabblers or shiny object people. Sound familiar? A little bit, maybe. You might even be able to say, that sounds like me. I try things a lot. I'm excited about new things. And people are like, they're around my life. They'll maybe consistently see I'm always excited about something new. Every week it's something new with you, Karen and Susan and Nick and Sean and Sherry. It's always something new with you. Yeah, it is something new because you're a dabbler. Now, again, not the end of the world, but at least maybe you know who you are. And we'll talk about how to be able to make these shifts quickly in the mindset and the identity. The next one, the defender. Now, they, in the past, have taken some opportunities because we don't take no opportunities, right? We have taken some opportunities. And then what happens is I step forward and I go, look, I'm gonna have some success. I've had some success, and I'm really good at tackling opposition. If it rears its head, I'm shutting it down. I'm gonna knock it out. I got this covered. However, if a new opportunity comes to pass, I'm very, very apprehensive because it could take away from my current success. This is the undefeated boxer, the person who's always had a great business, never lost a client. These people, they will not take opportunity because what if it sullies up what I've got? And so what they do is they live a stagnant, boxed in life. Brennan would call it partly the caged life, right? Because now what happens is I've had this success and I don't want any of this to go away. So I don't want anything to come in and possibly mess this up or make me look bad. So I don't want to be embarrassed. So I don't take advantage of new opportunities. But if lo and behold, if you ever decide to take away what I already got, I'm fighting you for it. Don't you dare say I'm not this or not this or not this. I'll fight to hold my space, but I won't fight for more, right? There's a difference, there's a separation. And so that's a defender. They hold their ground, they stay their pace, and they watch life, unfortunately, pass them by. And it sucks. I know people like this. They're like, no, I got this. I don't want to do anything. I'm like, oh, but you could have done this, and I'm happy. Yeah, but there's always a level of happy above the level you're at now if you choose to seek opportunities. Now, the fourth one, which is the one that I have a belief that a fair majority of you 100% have to have a piece of at times. And just keep in mind, we have multiple identities and mindsets that sit in different spaces. So if you happen to be one of these, you can be like, hey, I'm a dabbler. You may not be a dabbler everywhere. You might be a dabbler in work. You might be a defender in relationship. I would hope that you are, because a defender in relationship means you're great in the one you're at. You don't want to seek more opportunities. You know what I mean? Like that's not a good thing. Don't do that. But you might also be a dreamer in the aspect of hobbies. Like, I want to go be a skydiving coach. No, I don't. But that could be a dreaming idea, right? You see what I'm saying? Multiple identities. So I believe in your personal growth, a lot of you guys fit into this space right here. It's called a doer. So a doer is someone that says, look, I love opportunity. I seek it out. I want to find out what's new. I want to read the books. I want to get into the programs. I want to join Growth Day. I want to do it all. I want to try it all. And here's why. Because you know that if you chase down an opportunity, inevitably there will be opposition. But within the opposition, you have the ability, and you know you'll take it on. You'll go fight hard. So you're like, I'm taking it on because I know if I go in this opportunity, I'm going to keep going because I handle opposition well. And then you know that if you face opposition, it's okay, because here's the truth. What high performers and growth dayers, I know you guys know this. If you are a person that can handle opposition, you know that opposition, when overcome, creates new opportunities. Every time. I don't care who you are, but if you have a problem and you solve it, you have a new set of tools, which means a new opportunity has placed itself in your life. It's literally how it all, I tell people that when you're in the realm of like what I do, coaching, my job is to create new problems for you. What do you mean, Anthony? Well, if I solve the problem and help you be happier, more joyous, maybe make some more money, well, now you have a new problem of, okay, what do I do with my taxes? What do I buy? What do I invest? You know what I'm saying? It is new problems. Interesting way to look at it. But those who are doers, they will go after opportunity or go after opposition because they know it actually benefits synergistically. Now, there's different levels of doers. In my experience, we don't like hanging out with dreamers. I don't want to know what you're going to do. I want to know what you've done. And it's not a bad thing at the end of the world, but just be aware of this.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.